to speak about the responsibility for future generations, the future generations to come after us. And women, of course, all people are endowed with reason and conscience by the Creator, and they all have the right. Emancipation and education, that was always important, for we can speak about the problems of education today, which are definitely different but from the problems of education in times of Paulo Freire. Look, philosophy can have different kind of receptions. You don't speak about philosophy because you do philosophy because love to do it. It's a kind of love. You cannot live without philosophy, that's why we do it. Different kind of subject matters interest us equally, and we are reflecting upon everything which we consider to be important, among others, education too. On the other hand, the reception of philosophy can be very different. There is a so-called scientific reception when a work of philosophy is taken as an inspiration for epistemology or certain kind of understandings of the methodology of sciences, like for Popper. Popper used philosophy for methodology of sciences. There is another kind of reception for a form of life. People draw inspiration for their own way of life from philosophy. Now, how you can live, they want to make meaning to their life. They believe life is without meaning, and philosophy offers them a kind of meaning. Philosophy can be also has a political reception. For example, my book on Marx's theory of needs here in Italy in the early 70s was a political reception. Many kind of political movements became interested in this book because they interpreted this book in their own way. Of course, all reception is partial. They interpret books on their own way. There are moral receptions. People read philosophy because they want to find a moral lesson. And these are different kinds of reception. Every reception is partial. They are not interested in the philosophy as such, but in one of the other aspects of philosophy. So when I speak about education, then it's only one single aspect of my philosophy. Or when others receive my philosophy from the position of their life, from their morality, from politics, that is their interpretation. Everything can be interpreted in many different ways. So I interpret also other philosophies in many different ways, according to my interest, according to my inclination, and so on and so forth. That you cannot really answer, because a topic addresses you. You do not choose a topic. You are inspired by a question. You get nervous because there is a question and you want to find out the answer to this question. There are different kinds of questions to which you will find an answer. You have to select because you cannot really try to answer all the questions which are asked from you. Not person asks the question, the world asks the questions. Certain persons can also ask questions. The tradition asks also questions. Philosophical tradition confronts us with several questions. We are interested, we are inspired. We cannot try to answer to all of them. Anyway, we cannot answer to any question. We can only experiment with answers to different questions. Final answer doesn't exist in philosophy. Philosophy is not mathematics. In mathematics, you have an equation has a solution. You have a problem can be solved. In philosophy, we don't deal with problems. We do not deal with equation. We reflect upon issues. And answer means reflecting from one or the other position. I have maybe a question. My question is the following. Whether you feel a nostalgia to the years of 60s and 70s, when political life was so active in Italy, when there were communities, where people were interested in issues, in problems, and not that much in fashion or in the TV show. Do you feel a nostalgia for this period? That's a question. That's asked from you. You have to answer, because I cannot answer this question. philosophy has an unrequited love for politics. From the first philosopher onwards, called Plato, who designed the ideal state, and who went to Sicily, to the tyrant, to give advices to the tyrant, how to govern a state. From Plato onwards, he was Socrates onwards, of course, who was, in a way, he was executed from the city. All philosophers, almost all of them, had an unrequited love for politics. The love was unrequited because politics never needed philosophers. They didn't like philosophers, so they didn't want to have them. So the love was always unrequited. It went on and went on. It was also in the time of the Enlightenment, when Diderot went to Tsar Katharina, and Voltaire visited the Prussian king, Frederick, in order to give them advice about how you can become an enlightened monarch. And then it continues with Jean-Paul Sartre, who goes to Khrushchev, who will give him advice how to make reform in communism, and runs to Fidel Castro to give him advice how to handle chickens, because he sent to Cuba chickens. So these were unrequited love. But I think there is a different kind of philosopher in politics. And this different kind started perhaps with Spinoza. Spinoza never wanted to persuade a tyrant. He was very much committed to the Republic and wrote a book, Tractatus Politicus, which was a book on a democratic republic, a kind of a utopia, a kind of an ideal, but not had nothing to do with flattering tyrants. He wanted the people to take care of politics, not the tyrants to improve their ways. And then, of course, there is a continuation. Kant was also this kind of philosopher who didn't advise the tyrants, but wanted to speak about enlightenment and what is enlightenment. How can you make eternal peace on earth, perpetual peace, and so on and so on. These were different kind of political thinkers. Until the present day, both type of political thinkers remain. I am in favor of the second type, who act as citizens, who are philosophers, but they really contribute to political life as citizens. Or you can intervene in matters of politics in writings. These are two different kind of things. But I don't think that philosophers should advise tyrants anymore how they should improve their ways. So the second kind of philosopher is, in my way, the better when you to get through to philosophy's unrequited love to politics. It remains unrequited, because when Plato said that would be good if philosophers govern the states, I think would be the worst, because philosophy is totally unable to make a real good political decision. That is, to be in the position of governing a state is absolutely not a kind of position which a philosopher should take. The philosopher thinks in totality, thinks in holistically, and has no practical sense for pragmatic politics, which is also necessary if you are in the business of politics. This is also a kind of profession, to be a politician. It has its own rules, it needs its own capacities. I think these capacities are not the capacities of philosophers. At home, I am participating in political life, but I do it as a citizen. Only a citizen would never ever be a politician. Yesterday, when we had a dinner with some other people, I think we had a dinner, and a person from Argentina was there, who said that someone asked Borges what would he do, what laws he what kind of decisions he would take as a president. That was asked from Borges. Borges says, I know only the first decision I will take. It is to resign. And he was right. So when you say it is unjust, something else would be just. You have to point out what this something else is, and the something else must be realizable, that is achievable. And that is very important if you make some kind of statement against something which you don't like, for something you would like better, but there will never anything you would totally like, because there is no just society. There is no just society. You cannot have a just society. I'm sorry about it, because there will be always people who say it's unjust. And the just society is only a totalitarian society, because in totalitarian society, everyone is duty-bound to say it is just, otherwise you are executed. Then you have a totally just society. No democratic society can be totally just, because you have the right to say it is unjust, and then it cannot be totally just. You can achieve something. You can achieve something within this world, but you cannot translate this world. I have this speak about anti-capitalism. What does it mean? Capitalism, that is market, that distributional market, is not the devil. It's not the devil. It's not the other side of the good. It's just a way to distribute. The distribution of the market is an equal distribution which leads to inequality. That Marx was correct. That is, equal and free agreement lead to inequality. That can be addressed. This inequality to which the market relations lead can be corrected, must be corrected. This is by redistribution through the state. And what kind of redistribution you have to decide? What kind of redistribution you want, you would consider to be more just than it exists. Nothing will be entirely just. This is no good society exists. There can be good life of single people. There is no good society. Society is always complex, and it is something where a contradiction, and you have addressed this contradiction. That's why there is politics. In a just society, there would not be politics. What kind of politics do you need in a just society? Everything is just. You cannot do a thing. You cannot say something is wrong. Yeah, that would be terrible. A totally just society would not achievable except in totalitarian states, because everyone must say it is just. It's not advisable. It is not good for us. Yeah. To have a totally just society, because we want politics, we want discussions, we want contestations of justice, and without contestation, without discussion, without community which contrast each other, which are in conflict with each other, there is no political life. Yeah, we is exclusive. When I say and you say we, now we say we. We believe that we are the people, that people who agree that all human persons are born free, that all are endowed equally with reason and conscience, and we all ought to have the right to liberty, to life, and the pursuit of happiness. These are the way. We sign this statement, so we believe that this is right. Now, those who do not believe this right, they don't belong to we. We must exclude them. We can have discussion with them, but maybe they don't want to have a discussion with us. We can have discussion with everyone who wants to have a discussion of us. But if they believe that all people, that some people are born free, the other are born slave, and that women have no right to life and liberty, and women and men are not equally endowed with reason and conscience, that we have to exclude this we from our we. We can have a discussion with them, we can try to persuade them that they are wrong, but if they stick to it, that you are unequal to you because you have a girl and he's a man, I say that we cannot include them into our we. I'm sorry. The global challenges can be met in different ways. There are things in which are common. I mentioned that the protection of nature is common. That does not need to be a direct political affair. It's a protection of the nature and is in the interest of the whole globe. that global challenges, what are the global challenges? There can be global challenges of poverty or sickness. Then these global challenges, we are in duty bound to help. That is duty bound to help, but not in the duty bound to recognize as equal totalitarian states. We are not in duty bound to acknowledge as equal the Islamic State, for example, who execute people by sword. So not unnecessary, have not to accept all cultures. So I don't think that the European culture is the only good one, because I have a memory. I have the memory of the 20th century. Europe has basically totalitarianism is a European thing. Nazism, Bolshevism are European. Fascism was European. Totalitarianism stems from Europe. We created it. Europe has very little experience in liberal democracies, very few, and very bad tradition in liberal democracies, any. Europe is in this respect not a model. But after the Second World War, we at least developed certain kind of values. For example, equality of the sexes, something and something. Then the right of children. That children cannot be beaten death without meeting sanctions. The defense of the right of women to be beaten death and the children, and the sexual molestation of children, it is punishable by law. These are certain kinds of reforms I would acknowledge as positive one. And this I think we should not forget and should not accept other cultures which deny this. Then, of course, this is a kind of, you say it not Eurocentrism, because I don't speak only about Europe, I speak about many countries, Latin America especially included, all Americas especially included, certain other states, India for also included. You know these rape things, Indian women are raped, and the outcry against this rape, there is an outcry against this rape because it's no more acknowledged as a right. So I don't speak about Europe, but there are countries in which these rights are acknowledged. And I think we defend them against those countries which rejects this right, rejects these claims, and believes in other values. We have the right to say that's not Eurocentrism. Or if it is, I don't mind how it is called. It is not the prerogative of white people, because people of all colors accept the statement that all humans are born free. So all of them are included, but there are cultures which do not accept this position, and these cultures, these people, I would say, not relativize our cultures. I can relativize Europe, Europe of white people. I can relativize Europe, the colonizing Europe, but I cannot relativize the people, the we, who says we are equally born free, are equally endowed reason and conscience, men and women alike, and we have all rights to this and that. I don't think that I have to give up this position and accept the circumcision of girls, for example, because that's their culture. I would not do that. I'm not ready to do that. I think it's not relativity. I think there are certain kind of values I would stick to. You understand what I mean?
Gli stiamo dando un piccolo ricordo, un piccolo regalo per noi e per me specialmente questo è molto importante. Grazie.
I know that. That's why I go back to the Intervista.